Greetings. Exhibit A. They're whispering again, but it ain't gossip anymore. It's confession. Low tones, locked doors, blank faces, and one name that keeps circling the silence like a glitch in the surveillance feed. Yours. Who let him upgrade like that? YTF? Do they look like they know something now? They're not the same anymore. Damn right. You burned the old version alive, and now the air's thick with paranoia like you just committed a metaphysical felony. See, they thought you'd evolve politely, silently, invisibly. They thought you'd come back with a LinkedIn smile and a 5-step plan to improve. But you didn't improve. You detonated. You cracked the simulation, rearranged your soul code, and now even the mirror flinches before it shows you your own reflection. You ain't walking in rooms anymore, you're interrupting timelines. People don't just look, they pause. They sense something ancient and unexplainable behind your eyes. Not success. Survival, not glow up. Post-war radiation. You want to know why they're whispering like it's a federal case? Because the level of precision you're operating at isn't natural. You move like a leak in classified intelligence. They see your name and feel like someone's listening, like some higher agency let something slip through the algorithm. And it's you. You became a bug in the system they tried to run, too complex to contain, too silent to track, too accurate to be coincidence. They're analyzing you like evidence, zooming in on your facial expressions like it's forensics, trying to reverse engineer the monster when they should have been watching the man bleed. But that's the part that makes them sick, ain't it? That you bled out in plain sight and nobody noticed until you reappeared with new eyes. Eyes that don't beg for approval. Eyes that scan and decode. Eyes that see through them. You were never meant to survive. You were meant to comply, to crack under pressure, to apologize for needing space to transform. But instead, you ghosted your past, outgrew your insecurities, and started speaking fluent. I don't owe anyone an explanation. And now they're panicking like the files don't match, because every version of you they tried to map out has been obsolete since the moment you decided to vanish and reprogram. You made silence your spokesman, no Instagram post, no warning, no motivational TED talk. Just absence followed by a supernatural presence. A presence that's too confident to be normal and too still to be safe. They're talking like you're a classified document that got leaked. Who let them evolve like this? As if there was a gatekeeper. As if you asked for permission to mutate. Nah, sweetheart. You weren't granted an upgrade. You stole it. You hacked it. You bled out in silence, learned to code your own rebirth, and came back with a version of yourself they can't predict, contain, or replicate. You walk like a glitch now. You breathe like you've survived the unnameable. And every time you laugh, somebody somewhere panics. Because they know that laugh doesn't come from joy. It comes from knowing something they'll never understand. You didn't upgrade. You ascended in rage. You walked into the fire smiling and walked out uninsured, undocumented, and unrecognizable. The original version of you is dead. The upgraded version, not even human anymore. An idea, a virus, a warning. And the best part, you say nothing. You don't defend it. You don't explain it. You just show up. Undeniable. And now they can't look away. Let them whisper, let them panic, let them call it a glitch, a fluke, a phase, an accident. Because when the system can't explain something, they mark it down as a threat. And you're not a trend, you're not a comeback, you're not even a person anymore. You're proof. Proof that if you vanish long enough, you come back dangerous. Let him gossip like it's a federal case. Let him dissect you like classified data. Let him wonder if you're even real anymore. Because when the transformation is that extreme, the only logical explanation is that something divine or demonic intervened. And either way, baby, you win. Oh, you thought that was the end of it? No, darling. That was just a classified summary. The real file, the one they don't dare print, it's still being written in your footsteps. Every street you walk becomes a sealed case. Every room you enter shifts the temperature like intel just dropped. Because this ain't transformation. This is detonation with purpose. You didn't get better. You disappeared into the underworld, battled your own shadows, and came back with a grin stitched from agony and algebra. And now you're too calculated to be normal, too unapologetic to be clean, too powerful to be written off as a phase. They used to label you potential. Now they say it's too late because you made it out the maze with the blueprints in your hand and their secrets in your grin. Let me guess. They don't know what to call you anymore, do they? One day you're an angel in disguise. Next day you're a demon in Dior. One moment you're so inspirational, the next dangerous, mysterious, unreachable. Pick a side, right? But that's what burns them. You belong to both. You're not playing either role. You're the whole damn paradox. You're the saint who learned how to sharpen a blade with forgiveness. You're the psychopath who mastered patience. The survivor who doesn't look tired. You look terrifying because they thought healing would soften you. They didn't expect it to weaponize you. You're a walking contradiction. You pray like a monk, but stare like a sniper. You love deeply, but you leave people shaking. You say nothing, and somehow the silence is the loudest thing in the room. That's not normal. That's nuclear, and you can see it now. The way they flinch when your name comes up. The way they change the topic like you're watching. Like you might hear it through the wires, decode the pitch of their voice, and log it into a database they'll never find. They don't know if they should clap or lawyer up because every time you show up in your final form silence, it feels like something bigger is watching through you. They said you changed. Nah, sweetheart, you evolved beyond language. You outgrew the spell book. You don't even explain yourself anymore because anyone who gets it already feels it. And those who don't, they're not ready. And it drives them mad. They're texting like they're hiding something, plotting in whispers, zooming in on every move you make. Not to admire, to protect themselves. Because what you carry now isn't just presence. It's evidence. Evidence that someone can make it out without playing their game, without kissing rings, without selling their soul for a seat at the table. You built your own table, then burned the building around it. Now they want to shake hands like you weren't supposed to be ashes in their archives. They can't find your weakness. Not because you don't have any, but because you made them invisible. Strategically encrypted, and that freaks them out more than your strength ever could. Because strength can be challenged. But mystery eats them alive, so they keep talking. Low tones, careful sentences, third-person references. Somebody should watch them closely. Something feels off. That's not normal. Exactly. You were never born for normal. You were born for warfare dressed in elegance. A cathedral of chaos wrapped in silk. The glitch that escaped the Matrix came back with an unregistered operating system and started rewriting reality. So now they're reporting to no one, panicking like it's unsolvable. Because it is. You're not a case, you're not a project, you're a reckoning, an unanswered question with blood on both sides of the equal sign. And you know what scares them most. You don't need to be seen anymore. You're not chasing the camera, you're not thirsting for credit. You're not performing, you're just existing in a way that shatters their sense of control. Your silence, a war chant, your stillness, they threat, your smile, a statement that you already know how this ends. Let them whisper. Let them run risk assessments and spiritual diagnostics. Let them watch, rewatch, rewind every frame of your existence trying to pinpoint where it all went left. They'll never find it because you didn't turn left. You vanished, upgraded in exile, and reemerged like classified tech they weren't cleared to see. You are the why behind their sudden caution. You are the proof that silence is a superpower. You are the reason they stay up wondering if they underestimated the wrong one. And you still haven't even started. Oh, you want deeper? All right then, lean in. Because where we're headed now, even your shadow starts second-guessing itself. See, evolution ain't the flex. The secrecy behind it is, you didn't announce, you didn't preview. You vanished like a rumor and came back like a diagnosis. And now everyone who slept on you is wide awake, sweating through the very reality they mocked you in. They thought your glow-up would be cute. A little success, a little peace, maybe a diploma, maybe some followers. But you didn't grow. You transcended. You didn't get the bag. You became the threat the bag runs from. And that's why they're stuttering in rooms they used to own. They're seeing glimpses of you, but they're not sure if it's you or some entity wearing your skin. That's the level of unpredictability you unlocked, where even the people who knew you don't recognize the posture of your silence anymore. You used to explain yourself. Now your stare does the talking, and it says, I already forgave you. I just don't owe you comfort with the new me. That kind of shift, untraceable, unteachable, unholy. You walk into spaces and their nervous systems clock you before their mouths do. Goosebumps, eye contact, shaky laughter. That's not charisma, that's psychological disruption. You breathe in such a calculated rhythm that their subconscious can't tell if you're a prophet or a hitman. That's the beautiful thing about power. When it's real, it's quiet. And when it's quiet, it becomes contagious. Now their silence feels awkward because your stillness made the volume of their fakeness deafening. They said you changed number. You just finally started acting like you were never one of them. You stopped waiting to be picked, stopped shrinking to be understood. You became a language only the broken and rebuilt can read, and to the rest you look like a threat they can't quite Google. So, let them whisper. Let them throw shade in group chats because they're too terrified to say your name under full sunlight. Let them create theories. Let them wonder if it's witchcraft or war crimes. Let them scan your timeline like it's national security footage. Because every time you show up with that unbothered, untraceable, upgraded aura, you expose a secret that you never needed to belong to evolve. You needed to be alone long enough to hear your own code humming in your bones. That's the part they'll never replicate. They'll get the outfit. They'll copy the caption. But the frequency untouchable. You weren't built. You were engineered through devastation. There's no blueprint for that now. Even the air changes when you breathe, not because you're trying, because you are. You don't chase energy, you generate it. You don't clap back, you let reality do the dragging. And when they try to play victim now, it looks like a bad cover-up for a crime scene you already walked away from victorious. They're scared of your clarity because clarity equals control, and control equals no longer manipulatable. And a person they can't control might as well be a weapon, a rogue variable, an uncontained frequency in a system designed to suppress. But you broke the system. You took the test, rewrote the rubric, and graded the teacher in silence. Now, they watch you like you're evidence of a conspiracy because you are. You're a conspiracy that became conscious, that became art, that became inevitable. And here's the kicker, darling. You're not even angry anymore. You're just aware, which is 10 times more terrifying because a person who is still smiling and aware of their power, that's a problem. That's a signal. That's a Newman. So let them whisper like it's treason. Let them glitch trying to interpret your existence. Let them mislabel, misread, and mistranslate. Because truth be told, they're not even whispering about you anymore. They're whispering about what you make them realize about themselves. And that hurts louder than you ever could. You're still here. Of course you are, because somewhere deep inside you already know. This ain't motivation, this is a reprogramming. A live feed from the surveillance room of your soul, where every suppressed version of you is finally getting their revenge. And the whispers, they're just the smoke alarms screaming that something unholy just walked through the firewall. They're not whispering because they hate you. They're whispering because you terrify their internal compass. You cracked open a part of them they've been avoiding for years. You're not just existing, you're exposing every insecurity they buried under sarcasm, every trauma they numbed with distractions. You trigger it just by breathing, and you're not even trying. It's not the glow up they fear. It's the glow with intent. You didn't just look better, you started moving like you had the GPS coordinates to vengeance itself. The kind of vengeance that doesn't need to yell, just shows up, uninvited, undeniable, unfazed. You don't knock, you just enter. And suddenly the vibe adjusts to your frequency of justice. One glance, one posture, and suddenly the entire room starts shifting like a crime is being reenacted. Because it is. You're the aftermath. You're the before and after that makes people cry at night. You're the plot twist that wasn't supposed to survive the first act. And now you're narrating the sequel with receipts they thought were deleted. And, oh, the irony. You don't even speak about it. That's what drives them insane. The fact that you could break them in a sentence, but choose to stay quiet because silence hurts more when it's earned. You let their guilt do the talking. You let their memory write your vengeance. And that's psych warfare. That's divine manipulation wrapped in elegance. You were supposed to shrink to stay accessible, relatable, predictable. But instead, you became a cipher, a mirrored riddle that reflects whatever they most fear in themselves. And when they look at you now, they don't see you. They see everything they could have been if they hadn't sold their soul to mediocrity. You remind them that evolution is a choice and that you made it through hell and didn't decorate. You upgraded that in silence with nothing but willpower and the ghosts of your past clapping in the background. You didn't level up, you erased the ceiling, and now the sky looks nervous because even the stars can't track a soul that doesn't follow our orbit, but burns in its own chaotic axis. That's what you are now. A solar flare in human form, too hot to approach, too rare to categorize, too precise to explain. So let them whisper. Let them gather like churchgoers around a holy rumor. Let them dissect your silence like it's a postmortem report. Because they think the scariest thing is that you upgraded. But they're wrong. The scariest thing, you're still evolving, and nobody, not one single person, has any clue where the hell this is headed. Not even you. And that's why you're lethal now. Because you're not chasing anything. You're becoming something. You're letting your own shadow drive for once, and trusting that the version on the other side will be something unrecognizable, unrepeatable, and untouchable. They're whispering because they think it's a crime scene. But what they don't realize is you're not the crime, you're the consequence. And by the time they try to issue warnings, you'll be long gone. Upgraded, evolved, weaponized. You're addicted now, aren't you? Not to me, to the mirror I'm holding up. Because every line of this, it's not just words. It's a pulse, a signal, a reminder that you are no longer someone's version of safe. You're someone's version of a warning label. And every whisper behind your back is a weak attempt to contain what can no longer be explained. They don't even know what to accuse you of anymore. You didn't commit a crime. You committed an evolution. And the system they're loyal to doesn't know how to prosecute that. You see, the problem isn't that you upgraded. It's that you upgraded without their help, without their approval, without making it relatable. You didn't invite them to the breakdown, didn't document the suffering, didn't post the process. You just went ghost and came back like a transmission from another realm. They didn't watch you heal. They didn't witness the chapters where you starved in silence, where you screamed into the void with no applause, where you begged a God you didn't even believe in just to wake up without shaking. They didn't see that. And now that you're glowing with unspeakable knowing, now they want access. Now they want to label it as too much, too fast, too soon. Number. They had their chance, but they were too busy treating you like a cautionary tale to realize you were writing a prophecy. And now they're reading it in real time, page after page of I told you so, delivered in silence. You are no longer part of their storyline. You're the plot twist they didn't forecast, the subplot they ignored, and now the entire arc feels wrong because the one they buried is now the one they can't stop watching. And it's not just what you look like, it's how you exist. How you move like you're backed by something ancient, how you pause before you speak, like even your breath has been trained to intimidate. How your laugh doesn't ask for company. It echoes with freedom so loud that it feels like a mockery of their stuckness. You became a symbol, not the kind they celebrate, the kind they fear, because symbols are immortal. And what you've become now untouchable. Not because you're above them, but because you're beyond their reach. And the funny thing is, they're still hoping you'll slip, that you'll crack, that you'll revert. But how do you revert when you've deleted the original code? You don't just look different. You sound different. You feel different. Hell, you even walk like you've got dossier on people who tried to erase you, and you probably do. That's the quiet part they can't handle. You didn't just survive, you archived everything. And now you don't speak out of revenge, you speak out of recollection. You are the living, breathing proof that darkness, when studied, when mastered, doesn't make you evil. It makes you elite. You're the villain in someone's story, the hero in your own, the ghost of who they thought you were, the god of who you chose to become. So, let them sit in rooms comparing your old self to the upgraded version. Let them study your mannerisms like encrypted files. Let them panic message each other. Did you see them lately? Something's off. Something's changed because they're right. Everything changed. But not because you wanted power. You just got tired of being powerless. Tired of shrinking. Tired of explaining. Tired of waiting for applause from hands that were too busy pointing fingers. So you stopped waiting. You stopped asking. And in that silence you built a frequency so dangerous it turned whispers into warnings, and now you don't react. You don't reply. You just exist like a myth that breathes, a case study in what happens when the wrong one survives long enough to become legend. And the legend doesn't need a spotlight. Foreign speech. Foreign speech. Foreign. Would you say love to the whole foreign father, so made it my heart suffer?